What is going on, my fellow comic book readers, collectors, and enthusiasts alike? I'm your host, Alt, here at Control Alt Defeat Comics, and it is Monday, which means it is time for another weekly comic review. This week I am reviewing all of the comics that I have read that released on Wednesday, January 28th, 2026. As you can see, we have got a very, very massive stack of comic books to review this week, so we are going to roll right on into it. But before we do, I want to take the time to thank each and every one of you who are watching this video. If you enjoy this video at any point throughout it, please drop a like, comment, or subscribe. Any kind of feedback or commentary you can leave this channel is always greatly appreciated. Now, before I get into the reviews themselves, I want to issue a spoiler alert, spoiler warning, going forward. If you have any single issues that you picked up from Wednesday, January 28th, 2026, that you have not read yet, go ahead and click off of this video now. If you just want to see the comics that I picked up for the week and don't want to hear my review and thoughts on them, go ahead and check out my New Comic Book Day vlog from Wednesday. I will try to link it down in the description below. You can also check out my playlist for my New Comic Book Day vlogs if you want to get caught up on all of my New Comic Book Day vlogs since the start of this channel. So, with that being said, again, spoiler alert going forward for any of the single issues that released from Wednesday, January 28th, 2026. If you've not read anything yet and you don't want spoiled, go ahead, click off of this video, come back after you've read it. I'm not going to be offended in any way, shape, or form. But if you're still watching this, I'm going to assume that you are okay with spoilers, so we are going to go ahead and get right on into the review. And at the top of our pile this week, we have got the independent comics. Yes, once again, an independent comic is going to be our #1 pick of the week this week. And that pick of the week is going to Feral issue number 20. This comic book is phenomenal. I love this story. This is Tony Flex and Trish Forrester on writing and art, respectively. And the story is great. I really enjoy the start of this being opening with Elsie being very much like on her own and kind of coming to terms with maybe I'm better off alone. Maybe I will do less harm alone and can more easily survive on my own. And she almost comes to terms with this until she realizes that the humans, the CDC, are coming to hunt animals at Pet City, essentially, to go capture all the animals at Pet City, and she worries for their lives, given the fact that the last time she saw any of these humans, they killed a animal in front of her. So she returns to Pet City, whilst they are all kind of arguing with Lucky over his control of it, and we get some very insane revelations. We get some crazy stuff. The CDC breaks in. They kill Lucky, and they capture all the cats and Moosh. And so we end this issue with all of the cats being taken in by the CDC and taken to a CDC facility in, it looks like a middle school, like a temporary facility that they have set up to a temporary CDC work site to like evaluate and do tests and stuff on this rabies outbreak. And overall, this was amazing. This was such a good issue, such an interesting end to the Pet City saga, and a interesting new start on this new saga of them being stuck in the CDC. Could this be the final saga of the story, potentially? Them going to CDC, maybe this being where the CDC discovers some kind of cure or figures out how to stop the outbreak in some way, shape, or form, and things maybe return to normal after this? Maybe, who knows? I'm excited to read where this arc is going to begin and go from here. So overall, I've got to give this issue a 10 out of 10. Phenomenal story, phenomenal issue. Cannot wait to read more. So that was our pick of the week for the week. Moving on to our next book for independent comics, we are going to talk about Void Rivals, issue number 26 by Robert Kirkman, with art by Andre Bresson. And this issue is a lot of fun. It opens very much centered around Derek, like trying to figure out the whole Quintesson War and everything. We do get some interactions with some other characters, and some fantastic art here of the Quintessons and the various characters on the ring. We get we get the Sharkticons in this issue, which is phenomenal, and I love the Sharkticons, so it was great to see them. And it is very much a very, like, combat issue, a very action-y issue, and the way it ends with our main characters, Solila and Derek, finally reuniting again and joining forces to take on the Quintessons, which I potentially think could unintentionally lead to unity happening between their peoples, because the various two societies may work together and unite to attempt to fight back the Quintessons, and that may result in the awakening of Goliath. So I'm very, very interested to see where this story continues to go. I've got to give Void Rivals issue 26 a 9.5 out of 10. Phenomenal story. Next up on my independent comics list, we have got Bug Wars, the Spider Witch Special. This was quite an interesting read. I can't necessarily show a whole lot of art. Let me see if I can find. There's a few different artists throughout this and a couple of different stories. It's a very thick single issue, and it's a really good read. And it's got me really excited for the return of Bug Wars. Like, let's see some of this. I think, yeah, this is art we can show. We can show some of this art here is just fantastic. I mean, phenomenal. The art, the coloring, everything like that. And I really, like I said, it's really got me excited to see when Bug Wars comes back here, which is supposed to be this summer. Yes, book 2 coming this summer. So, yeah, I'm really excited for that to return. I thought this issue was a lot of fun. I'm going to go ahead and give this one an 8.5 out of 10. Honestly, could probably be higher, but it was just a lot of fun. So, next up on the list, we have got Skinbreaker. This is issue 5 with Robert Kirkman and David Finch. This story is so much fun. As I've said for a while here, David Finch's art on this is really good. It's just very detailed. Like, they have a lot of background detail, and they pay attention a lot to their backgrounds as much as they do their foregrounds, and they just pack in a lot of detail, a lot of line work, and the coloring is also really well done. And overall, I thought this issue was a lot of fun. This is essentially the story of our chieftain Anuk, or Enoch, trying to essentially save his people, knowing that the new chief who has taken over for him is not capable of properly protecting his people. And so he goes around essentially like warning them of problems, and so it ends essentially with him helping them to defend themselves, but it offends the chieftain, so he declares that in the morning they are going to hunt after Enoch to essentially put an end to him and cement his true role as the rightful chieftain now, essentially, this new guy. So, really good issue. Definitely going to give this one an 8.5 out of 10 as well. Thought the colors popped, the story is great. Really curious to see how it continues to go. Next up on the list, another Energon universe, we have got G.I. Joe. This is issue number 18. This is the aftermath of the Dreadnought War. And this one, it was a little bit, I wouldn't say slower, but it wasn't quite as intriguing in terms of the Joes, the Cobra, and pushing stories forward. However, it does definitely end where Cobra Commander now definitively knows about Destro's betrayal, and it also introduces us to one of my absolute favorite characters within the G.I. Joe universe here. So I really enjoyed that aspect of things, and I loved it. I love that Roadblock is here. I love that we're continuing the story, and I can't wait to see where it goes from here. I'm going to go ahead and give G.I. Joe issue 18 an 8 out of 10. Moving on, this one is not an Image comic book for once. This is actually a Mad Cave comic. This is the New Space Age issue number 2. This is a really interesting story about a man whose brother is taken by aliens as a kid, and his entire life essentially has become attempting to figure out how to go to space so that he can try and find his brother. And he is now an adult who has been booted out of a space program that is no longer receiving funding and is essentially building a team of people to try and develop a spacecraft themselves. They have essentially, issue 1, they discovered that crop circles and space travel are actually not based on pure science, but a magic, like rune systems and stuff. And so he gets a person who is very well versed in magic to help him figure it out. This issue is all about them developing and testing a new ship that they have developed utilizing these magic runes and whatnot. And it was quite interesting, I will definitely say. And it ends off, one of our characters ends up betraying the party. And I'm really curious to see where it is going to go from here. But it has been a lot of fun. It is, let's see here, who is... Kenny Porter is the writer, and Mike Becker is artist on this one. And this is a lot of fun, I gotta say. I think this is the first Mad Cave comic I've ever actually read, but I'm enjoying it so far. So I'm definitely gonna give this one an 8 out of 10 as well. Very much picking up steam. Really curious to see where the story continues to go and if it stays with that same momentum. Next up on the independent comics, this is another Image Comics. This is Final Boss issue number 3. This is Tyler Kirkham and let's see. Yep, Tyler Kirkham on writing and Tyler Kirkham, David Miller on arts. So we've got a pretty cool team here, and the art on this story is really good. The story itself is very cool as well. We've got this main character who has this magic talisman, essentially, from his grandfather, and he is invited to participate in this tournament, and discovers, like, as he defeats people in this tournament, he ends up absorbing some of their essence and power, and it levels him up. And this issue is all him facing off against this brute at a dock. I'm trying to remember the name of the character. Warpig, maybe? Something to that effect. Warboar? Warhog, that's who he is. And this fight is really good. It's really well drawn and whatnot. This has been picking up a lot of steam. I think it's really fun. I'm going to go ahead and give this one a 7.5 out of 10. Next up on the list is going to be my final independent comic for the week. This was Capes issue number 3. This is Robert Kirkman with Mark Englehart on arts. This is a recreation of a 2003 comic book where they have updated the art and polished some things. And after issue 6, they are going to be continuing it in with new story, new content that did not release before. So far we have got a story about Capes Incorporated, which is led by this guy who's essentially a Professor X type character with like mind-warping powers. He's bald in a wheelchair. And by the end of this issue, you essentially find out that he has been lying about losing his powers, that his powers have actually been getting stronger, and that he has essentially been using his mental abilities, his psychic abilities, to create villains that the Capes organization could fight in order to allow them to continue to get funding. And I thought that was a really interesting way to turn things. So I thought this was really good. I think it is picking up steam, but I can feel a little bit of the writing being a little dated, so I'm really hoping that once we get to issue 6, it's going to be a lot more fun. Overall, I thought this was good. I'm going to give this issue a 7 out of 10. And that is going to be it for the independent comics for the week. Now we are going to move on to DC Comics. And DC is actually going to have my number 2 pick for the week, which is going to Absolute Batman issue number 16. This is the second crossover between Absolute Wonder Woman and Absolute Batman. This is a story written by Scott Snyder with art by Nick Dragotta. And it essentially is Bruce trying to have contacting Diana and having her help him try to figure out a way to heal and fix his friend Wayland, who has been turned into the Killer Croc. And the end of this very much leaves us in a place where we believe that they succeeded. We don't see Wayland turn back into a human, but it is heavily implied by the end that the thing that Bruce and Diana found is going to allow him to retain his humanity, at least somewhat, we hope, right? And some of the art for this story is just phenomenal. I mean, we get Batman riding the skeleton Pegasus and all of that. We get so much fantastic art throughout this, and the story is really good as well. The fight sequences are fantastic. And there is a moment in here where Batman is given kind of a dream sequence type thing where he gets to speak to his father. And it's beautiful. And I loved it. I loved everything about it. I loved everything about this issue. And I think it's so good. I loved it. Super fun. 10 out of 10 again on this issue. I cannot sing its praise enough. Next up on the DC docket for the week is going to go to Absolute Wonder Woman issue number 16. And this story, it's a brand new story arc that's beginning here. This story in particular, this start, essentially we get Diana, we get Steve dealing with the government, and Diana going to this big fancy hoity-toity event, and something makes her pass out and get these memories of the Wild Isle and her time there, and you get the paneling here. Look at the way this fight sequence is paneled out. It's so unique and different than any other comic artist is doing right now with their paneling. It is so cool the way that they make some of these stories and images flow. It's just super duper cool here. And the end of this, essentially, Diana realizes that she has no access to her magic, and then she is encountered by a very large group of villains being led by the Absolute Zatanna. And so this next issue is going to be her fighting against this Absolute Zatanna, as well as various other villainous characters from the standard Wonder Woman's Rogues Gallery, I would suppose. Really good issue. Really, really good issue. I think it's a fantastic start to a new story arc that I cannot wait to see continue. I'm going to have to give that one a 10 out of 10 as well. Moving on to the next DC comic, and that is going to go to Absolute Martian Manhunter. This is issue number 8. This is Dennis Camp with Javier Rodriguez on arts, and Javier Rodriguez is the killer on this. This story is it is its art that is what makes this story as amazing as it is. It is just the colors are so well packed in. I want Javier Rodriguez to do arts for Green Lantern. I think he could nail that. with like the color spectrum and being able to like do the hard light constructs and stuff. I think he could do such a good job with that. But the end of this very much gives us a new Martian that is working with him, and I'm really curious about that and where the standard Martian excuse me, and where the standard Martian has gone and what's going on with that. So overall, I've got to give this one a 9.5 out of 10. Really good read. Fantastic art. Love where the story's going. Next up on the DC list, we have got the DCKO, The Kids Are All Fight special. I really enjoyed this, actually. I thought the story in this was really cool, really good. Getting to see a lot of these, like, sidekick characters that I'm not as familiar with, like, actually be important and whatnot was pretty fun overall. It's essentially a story of these various heroes who are left behind, and Superboy, who, John Kent, who is tasked with protecting them, and kind of fails to do so, and needs to go track them down to save them, essentially, and enlists the help of Cassandra Cain's Batgirl in order to track them down, and rescue them from the forces of Granny Goodness, and Darkseid. So, that is, all in all, what this story is about, and it's really cool. It features the return of Static Shock, and I'm really curious to see where it goes from here. So, yeah, really good issue. I'm going to go ahead and give this one a 9 out of 10. Moving on to the next DC book, and another DCKO tie-in comic here, we have got The Flash, issue number 39. This is, I think this is still technically continuing the Impulse Point storyline, where Impulse has attempted to travel through time in order to stop Darkseid, but essentially realizes that Darkseid's affecting time non-linearly, and so he's affecting past, present, and future all simultaneously, and we get them trying to stop Darkseid's forces from traveling through time and preventing Barry Allen from getting his powers. And in the process of that, we learn that Impulse is, in truth, that Bart Allen is the Speed Force. He is essentially a part of the Speed Force, and he helps to ensure that Barry Allen does get hit with the lightning and does end up getting his powers, but then he is told that by Darkseid's forces that it doesn't matter because Barry Allen is still going to die during the Crisis event. And so now Bart is, without really realizing the effect it would have on the multiverse, he is traveling through time to try and prevent Barry from dying during the Crisis event, which would be a tremendously bad thing for the multiverse. So I'm very curious to see where this goes. I love this issue. I'm going to have to give this one a 9 out of 10. This is written by, Dennis Spade? Let me see here. Do they even have a credits page? DC sucks about their credits, man. Like, they don't like to credit their teams. And that sucks. Because your team deserves credit. They deserve a page. Written by Mark Waid and Christopher Cantwell. Art by Vasco Georgiev. Yeah. Really should include a page in the front. Honestly, this page right here should include the writer and artist on the series. Or, frankly, it should actually be this first page right here. Rather than it being a freaking advertisement, DC, you should be putting credits for your creators on the first page so that people can give them credit and shout out for their work. It's ridiculous, and I hate it. Sorry, don't mean to rant. The Flash, issue number 29. Legacy numbering on that one was 829. And I'm going to have to give this one a solid 9 out of 10 as well. Really fun read. Next up on the DC docket, we have got another DCKO tie-in, and that is Superman issue number 34. Legacy numbering on that one is 877. This is written by Joshua Williamson with art by Eddie Barrows and Ebner Ferreira. And this story was a lot of fun. Again, continuing this kind of like story between Superboy Prime, who has returned, and Lois, who has now regained her powers. They're also working with a cyborg Superman that has been created to essentially help protect Lois. And the end of this was very cool. We see Superboy Prime really starting to take things more seriously, and I really enjoyed this. I've been enjoying the Superman side of the DCKO tie-ins, so I'm going to go ahead and give that one an 8.5 out of 10. Next up, we've got another Absolute book, Absolute Flash. This was issue number 11. This is written by, maybe they have a credit, maybe they don't. I don't think they do. They don't have a credits page again. That's ridiculous. Here we go. We have Jeff Lemire is the writer, and Nick Robles is on arts. This is part 1 of 2 of the War of the Flashes, and this essentially sees us learning a lot more about what the Speed Force is, and what the Still Point is, and what Eobard Thawne has become, essentially. And we see, by the end of this, Wally comes out from the Still Point and is ready to take on Thawne. This issue was a lot of fun. I've been really enjoying the Absolute Flash series. I think it's grown on me a lot. It started out not as good, but I think over the past few issues, it has really picked up in quality. So I'm going to go ahead and give this one an 8.5 out of 10. Fantastic issue. Next up on the DC list is going to be another DCKO tie-in. We've got Justice League Unlimited. This is issue number 15. This is part 4 of the Terrific 10 storyline. And essentially throughout this, we see the rest of the heroes of the Terrific 10 be slowly killed off, leaving only Mr. Terrific, who then essentially attempts to make a deal with the demon Neuron to be his vessel on Earth. But he is then betrayed by Owlwoman. And that was quite the twist that I was not expecting. This is written by Mark Waid with Dan Mora and Sean Izaakse on arts. This story was really good. I'm very curious to see where this goes after that betrayal. Gonna have to give this one a 7.5 out of 10. And then finally, rounding off the end of the DC books for the week, we have got Harley and Ivy Life and Crimes, issue number 3. This, for all intensive purposes, has very much been this love story about Harley and Ivy, like, meeting for the first time. And this story basically is them tricking the Joker, making him believe that Harley is going to go back to him, and then they turn on him and, crash through, and we get this, really nice art of them, like, going through and whatnot. And it's, they trick the Joker, leave him in this building that's collapsing, and they end up, getting it on, for 27 minutes, according to this, and finishing up, they then are essentially surrounded by police officers while they are still lying there naked after, recovering from their happy fun times. And yeah, overall, this was an alright issue. This series is okay. I think the art, it leaves a little bit to be desired here. This is written and drawn by Erica Henderson and I just think it could be a little better. I'm going to go ahead and give that one a 6.5 out of 10. That is going to end off the DC books. Now we're going to move on to Marvel. And at the top of the stack for Marvel this week, and another pick of the week for me, is Marvel Zombies issue number 5. This was the finale of the Marvel Zombies storyline. And throughout this, we see a Spider-Man, Peter Parker, who has been protected by a symbiote. And we learn throughout this that Null is the creature that essentially controls and created the Marvel Zombies for this particular Zombies universe. This is a red band, by the way, Marvel Zombies Red Band, issue 5. And this, so we essentially have Null invading the main Marvel universe, and Spider-Man trying to stop him, and very much not doing a great job until the rebirth of Jean Grey the Phoenix, who apparently survived the previous horror project and the previous just horrific things that happened. And yeah, they end up defeating Null, and together, hopefully they can start, I don't know, rebuilding their world. But the art in this is a lot of fun. The story was written by Ethan S. Parker and Griffin Sheridan, with art by Jan Bazaldua. Really good, really enjoyable. I thought this was a great end to a phenomenally fun zombie story. I've got to give this one a 10 out of 10. Really fun. I can't believe how good it was. Next up on the Marvel list, and this almost made pick of the week, honestly, is going to go to the Infernal Hulk issue number 3. This story is written by, is it Philip Kennedy Johnson? Yep, Philip Kennedy Johnson, with Kev Walker and Nick Klein on arts. And this story in particular is all about Bruce Banner and Betty Ross, and where they have been since the previous run. And this is heavy. This is a heavy story with a lot of, like, self-harm and violence. And it ends with Tony and Mr. Fantastic essentially telling him, like, hey, you need to help us, Bruce. Like, the Hulk is still part of you. And then the next one is going to be all about the Incredible Hulk. So I thought this storyline was really good, a lot of fun. I'm going to give this one a 9.5 out of 10 as well. Next up on the Marvel list for this week, we have got 1776. This is issue number 3. This is written by J. Michael Straczynski, with Sean Damian Hills and Ron Liam on arts. And this story is pretty good. The art is a different style, but the story itself being these Marvel heroes essentially participating in and helping stop this witch from changing the events of the Revolutionary War is very good. This issue in particular ends up focusing kind of on them trying to warn people about this witch, causing a battle to happen early, and essentially by the end of it we get this point where Peter Parker Spider-Man is desperately trying to prevent the deaths of innocent people in the Revolutionary War, including those who should die, and cannot come to terms with the fact that they, as time travelers, need to not only ensure that people who aren't supposed to die stay alive, but essentially that the people who die. And it was really good. I enjoyed this quite a bit. The moral conundrum of it and all is quite an interesting take, and of course, it makes a lot of sense for Spider-Man. I'm going to go ahead and give this one an 8 out of 10. moving on to my next book in the Marvel list, and that is going to go to The End 2099. This is issue number 2. This is a story, let's see, who is this? Steve Orlando and Ibrahim Roberts. This is a lot of fun. The art is really good. It is, for all intensive purposes, it is this massive war between various characters who are representing either Mephisto or this being that is a merger of Galactus and Null. And this war in particular, it is very cool. We get, again, more info about this Spider-Man 2099, or Spider-Man 3099, and, like, who he is, where he comes from. We get a little bit of this Silver Surfer from the 2099 universe. And then by the end, we find out that all of the various characters that are on the side of the Null Galactus hybrid have now become nullified versions of themselves to take on the forces of Mephisto. So I'm definitely curious to see where that one goes. I thought this issue was a lot of fun. I'm going to go ahead and give this one a 7.5 out of 10. And then finally, we are going to the last book of the week, the end of the stack, which is going to be The Punisher Red Band issue number 5. This is a story by Benjamin Percy with art by Julius Ohta. Ohta. This was all right. I think this was kind of a lackluster ending, in my opinion, but I thought the story overall was pretty good. The action was pretty decent. It is apparently leading into this new Punisher series that is following this, but I don't know. Overall, I thought this series was 5 issues that I kind of wish I would have passed on, honestly. I wish I would have used the money on something else. Overall, the ending was okay. But I just don't necessarily feel like this story was all that amazing. I'm going to give this one a 6 out of 10. So that is going to end off my weekly comic book review. I just want to say, again, thank you so very much for watching this video. If you have stuck around all the way to the end of this video, I sincerely want to say thank you for checking this out. If you enjoyed this video, please check out my channel for more comic book content to come. Check out some of my old content as well. I just want to thank anybody who has taken the time to subscribe to this channel. I am currently at 41 subscribers. I'm well on my way to my 100 subscriber goal by the end of the year. So seriously, anybody who has watched this channel and went, that was all right, I want to subscribe for more. Thank you so much for helping me to reach that goal. If you enjoyed this video at any point, please drop a like, comment. Any kind of feedback or commentary that you can leave this channel is always greatly appreciated. I'm always looking forward to having a conversation with you in the comments section down below about comic books. Comic books are my passion, and if you're watching this channel, I imagine they are yours as well. And thank you so much again for sticking around for this video. I will see you in tomorrow's Top Tuesday video. Have yourself a fantastic day, fantastic week, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.